Good evening, Ms. Zuleta. A monitoring mission has been announced. It's not usual for your observers to monitor the local elections. Why did you make such a decision? Do you have any doubts about elections?
As you say, it's not usual for ODIHR, OBSE to observe local elections, but we received an invitation from the government of North Macedonia, and the fact is that we have already observed 4 local elections in this country. So we have always been invited, I think, because local elections have always been considered important or happening at a sensitive moment. Fact is, we were invited and we were happy to be able to respond to this invitation.
How much observers you planned for these elections?
Well, we are already observing. As you know, we opened our mission on 7th September because our methodology includes observing the entire campaign, and we have to assess not only the campaign but the legal framework and the media for their compatibility with OSCE commitments and national legislation. So we've been busy up to now, and yesterday we published our interim report on our progress up to this point. We will have short-term observers in addition to the 20 long-term observers and the 13 people in the team in Skopje. About 130 short-term observers who will arrive the day before the elections and be here for the vote, but also the count.
There were objections in the past for the voter lists, but not this time. Does it mean that at last we have quality voter records?
The voter list was not considered a problem on this mission by any of our interlocutors, including the opposition and the small parties. Even the independent candidates had no objections about the voter list, or indeed about their registration as candidates. If there is confidence, and it was lacking in the past, then this is a step forward. In some cases, this confidence was associated with the introduction of biometric identification of voters, the famous Fingerprint machine. So naturally, how this proceeds is one of the things that we are observing.
Yes, for the first time we will vote with the fingerprint check. What does it mean for the election process? You mentioned something, especially in the part one voter, one vote.
There have been allegations with this biometric identification, all parties, in particular the opposition parties, consider that voter impersonation will not be possible, and this reinforces their confidence in the process. So we, like the voters of North Macedonia, we will have to wait and see.
In each post-election report, you have some kind of recommendations. Are you satisfied how the parties incorporated them in the electoral code, and how they are applied? Where improvement is still needed?
The election code, as you say, has been amended, has been changed since the last elections, and therefore since the parliamentary elections, and therefore since we last observed. And some of these changes addressed our recommendations. There was a number of changes to our surprise. I think we were not the only ones to be surprised. It were approved on 15 September.
Yes.
This is very close to elections, and as you know, we do not recommend changing election law close to elections. However, they had broad consensus in Parliament, these changes, and they come into effect for these elections. So we are observing their implementation. They address some of our recommendations, but we have an overarching recommendation, which is that not just the election code, but all the other laws that are applied in the election are made coherent, harmonious. At the moment, they have been changed over time, and sometimes they are in contradiction with each other or difficult to apply, these laws. So this was our overarching recommendation, and it remains to be addressed.
The election campaign has been going for a week. Can you give a preliminary opinion for the process? How do you look on the process?
As you know, we do not comment on the elections while we observe. We do not say what our assessment is. We are only able to make that the day after the elections. We are looking at the campaign, following it, and we listen to those who are involved. And up to this point, we have not had serious incidents reported to us, but or perhaps not many. But the climate appears to be tranquil and up to this point, and our observers are always welcome, which we are very happy to be able to do.
You have noticed in the past that state resources were used for political campaign. Now the Anti-Corruption Commission has similar remarks about this. How do you look at this?
We are following it. We are following this issue. There are different ways in which state resources can be used, and we listen and we will report. It's important that the issue is also being looked at by other institutions in this country, by national institutions. So we shall see after the election what the conclusion is.
Thank you, Ms. Zuleta, for the interview.
Thank you very much.